sensation in my body, which I wouldn't have gotten anything like that when I was in my 30s. So living in our bodies when we're over 50 are kind of like stressful in and of themselves as we're aging.
Hi, welcome to the Judy Terrell Show, where I explore topics intended to optimize every body 50, 60, 70, and above.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Judy Terrell Show. I'm Judy Terrell, and if you are joining me on this episode, then you are in my series number 7, and the topic is how to manage anxiety, stress, and impatience when you are over 50 years old, so living in a 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, beyond body and mind. And I'm presenting tools that you can use that you can access and actually perform and use at any moment and any time, no matter where you are in any 24-hour, day, 24/7. I ask clients of mine, like, how do you manage stress? How do you manage anxiety when you're over 50? And I'll get, I go for a massage, I go for a walk, I exercise, I take a meditation class, I go to yoga. But, what do you do when it's like 10:30 at night and you are in the process of, you just put into your computer a work deadline project and your computer eats it and it's, 10:35. Oh my God. Your nervous system goes into parasympathetic like arrest, fight or flight, and you're not going for a massage right then to help you to manage it. So the tools that I've been presenting in this series are ones that you could apply to that situation right then and there in the moment, no matter where you are. Now, why am I presenting it for over 50? All the tools and skills that I'm presenting in this series would be applicable to anybody who's younger than 50. But why I am specifically targeting 50, 60, 70 and beyond is because those of us who are in those age ranges, and I'm one of them, we are living in bodies that are unfamiliar because they're aging. Things happen that you're not expecting. So for instance, I go to get up out of a chair and I could take a step and my, severely osteoarthritic knees, I might get a zing of pain, like right up my leg, that grabs my attention. No one else knows that. No one can see it. But suddenly my stress level inside my own, vehicle went from 0 to 9. And I'm on my way to deal with a situation with a customer. So I had that's stressful in and of itself, but I'm now in stress because I just had this sensation in my body, which I wouldn't have gotten anything like that when I was in my 30s. So living in our bodies when we're over 50 are kind of like stressful in and of themselves as we're aging. And then our brains, we are not as quick to cognitively process things. I know myself, I get word in this series, I'll probably have it happen 3 times. I'm going to grab a word that I want to say and my brain isn't, it's kind of spinning, trying to retrieve it. And other, kind of performance and processing, processes are not working the way that we are used to them working. And so therefore that in and of itself is also stressful. So we are then in minds and bodies that are, they're like in a constant state of stress, whether it be a little bit lower, a little bit higher grade, because of where, we're dealing with the aging process and the things that go with that. And so the level of stress inside our vehicle is higher than the average level of stress when we were younger. And we still have to then deal with the stress that's coming at us from the environment and our, our culture and our world situation, our environments, our media environments that we're interfacing with all the time, other people, technology not working, an endless number of things. So this is episode number 6. It's the last one in this 6-part series on how people over 50 can better manage stress, anxiety, and impatience. And this one it's a tool and it's very specific, but it has you have to stand back a little bit. It has a little bit more of a comprehensive, aspect to it that I want to explain. So everybody knows that the human body kind of functions through what are called circadian rhythms, okay? 24-hour cycles. So we have 24-hour cycle of awake and sleep. We have a 24-hour circadian rhythm of cortisol levels. They cortisol spikes during the morning and then subsequently comes down during the day. So it's at the lowest when we go to bed. On the total opposite side of that, melatonin, that is low in the morning and it starts to come up and spike in the evening to help us to go to sleep. And I can give you endless number of things that work on a circadian rhythm within the human being. But I'm going to talk about, from that platform, something that is called ultradian rhythms. Now, ultradian rhythms are rhythms within the 24-hour circadian rhythm, and they have a cyclical, rhythm to them through the day, but they happen multiple times within the circadian rhythm as opposed to just like the ones that are like one 24-hour cycle. All right. And the ultradian rhythm that I'm going to talk about is our cognitive attending, like our focusing in and directing our attention, and then our need to step out and kind of like let our brains kind of regroup and kind of step out to rejuvenate to be able to attend again. And it has been identified that the ultradian rhythm for a cognitive attention is 90 minutes of attending, and then we need about 15 to 20 minutes of not attending to let the brain like kind of process oxidative stress and free radicals and all the like kind of metabolic waste from cellular work, and also to just kind of like take all the information that we've just gotten and kind of compartmentalize it and put it into patterns and groupings so that it can go into memory storage and put pictures together so that we remember comprehensive things as opposed to just little minutia details. And the brain needs time to do that. So we need this like on-off kind of ultradian rhythm. And we have that in our sleep cycle, interestingly, REM sleep and non-REM sleep. So non-REM sleep is about 90 minutes, and then we go into a series of REM, a state of REM sleep, which is about 20 minutes. And then we come out of that for 90 minutes and we come back into REM sleep. And that's kind of how our sleep cycles work when we're asleep, obviously. And interestingly, we have a similar attending kind of rhythm when we are awake. Now, I know for a fact that just about 95, if not more, % of the people who are watching this, definitely when we were younger, we would just plow through 90 minutes and go into, like, I remember I took 3-hour classes in college. They were scheduled by the administrators. And I remember in those classes at right around 2 hours, my eyes would glaze over and I the ability to take in was really being compromised. Now, when we're younger, we can kind of, deal with that and, do it however we manage that. But as we're older now and our brains are not processing at the same speed and they're more, challenged, with to process the information and the ability to attend, it's even more important for those of us over 50 to be aware of this 90-minute, 15 to 20 minute cycle of attend and then step out, attend and step out. Because if we don't, not only are we becoming less productive, but it is increasing the level of anxiety and stress and impatience that we have, because as we are trying to push into 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours of attending to something, we are becoming less productive and we are, the stress level and the anxiety level rises and we become short-tempered. We become, short-tempered with people around us and we'll give like sharp answers to somebody. We're more stressed by the noises that might come up in the room. Somebody walking by talking really loudly, the ability to deal with our children when we're, in the middle of doing something at home, that's requiring like over 90 minutes of attention, so in many, many ways, I can give you many examples, but you get my point. It is compounding stress when you're not, being aware of this need to step out every 90 minutes and just clear your mind. And we need to do that, especially when we're over 50, because we're, like I already said, we're already starting off with more stress because our brains are not functioning the way they did when we were younger, and our bodies are not functioning the way they did when we were younger. So we're already at stress level 5 when we're steamrolling through these 90-minute cycles, all right? Now, so we need to be aware of that when you're scheduling yourself. You need to look at your, Zoom calls, and you have to say, okay, I can do 2 hours. Maybe I could do the third, but I need to schedule a 15-minute break in between the second and third. And, you have to, if you're on a 4-hour project, you need to say, okay, I'm going to tend to this for maximally 2 hours, and then I need to step out for 15 minutes, and then I'll come back and do 2 more hours. Because if you don't, your stress and anxiety level is going to rise and your productivity is going to go down. Now, what do you do with these 15 to 20 minute breaks in between? All right. You're not going to go to your cell phone and check your messages. You're not going to answer phone calls. You're not going to go on social media because all that requires more attending. All right. What you're going to do is go out and go for a walk in some place that you already are familiar with, or that is a circle of some sort of a loop. So you don't have to think about where you're going and be thinking about the directions. So you can just put one foot in front of the other and just get into this rhythmic, mindless pattern. So your brain can now process and compartmentalize and organize all the stuff that just happened for the last 90 minutes. And then you can come back to attend, at the highest level of productivity for the next 90-minute attention span. You can also, if you can't leave and go for a walk, you can sit in your chair and just turn off the computer or turn away from it and just look at the room, just pay attention. Oh, that's an orange wall. If I see those fluorescent lights, and you're just you're not analyzing, you're not oh, that light needs clean. No, you're just looking at it. It's like you're doing a scan of the room. You might just sit down and just to pay attention to your breathing, pay attention to the sensations you're feeling. I can feel the chair underneath my buttocks. I can feel my legs across right now. I feel my legs cross. You're not really processing anything. You are just attending, right? Another thing you can do is just let your mind, just listen to your mind, and the thoughts it's having, you're not having a conversation or dialogue. You're not judging or anything. It's almost like you're listening to your own mind, like you'd be listening to a radio show, right? But you're not really, you're just kind of half listening to it, and you're letting your mind do whatever it's doing, right? So the point is, for these 15 to 20 minutes of regeneration and stepping out of the attending zone, you have to do particular things that are the least attending, just, being present without having to be thinking that much. You can observe and listen or view, but you're really not, you're minimally processing. And so that means you're not going to go and play games on your computer either. Those are all things that involve cognitive processing, right? And if we don't schedule these things in, we have a kind of very vicarious way of getting them in. And one of them is compulsive overeating. So you walk into your kitchen and you pull out the bag of chips and you start to mindlessly chew, hand to mouth chew, hand to mouth chew. And you're just in that process. Just like I said, you go for a walk and you're just paying attention to your feet, looking around the room, but you're mindless, right? So eating is one of the things that many of my over 50 clients will turn to because it's available 24/7. It does allow your mind to check out, and it works from that perspective, but it has some really negative side effects that many of us do not want, like weight gain, health, high cholesterol, blood pressure, a whole mess of things. Alcohol, smoking, excessive game playing. These are all things that we have accessible to us 24/7, but have a lot of negative side effects to them when they're used to the degree that we need to use them, in 24 hours, say 14 hours of awake time. This 90-minute and 15-minute cycle happens quite frequently. So if you're using food or cigarette smoking as your way to get your, kind of rejuvenation time, you can see where that's going to add up to a lot of negative side effect. Whereas the things I'm presenting, there's no negative side effects. You're just letting your brain rejuvenate. And so this is skill and tool number 6 in my 6-part series on how to better manage your stress, anxiety, and impatience when you are living in a body and a mind that's over 50, that are really they're the most effective, and they're available to you at any moment and any time. And they actually do help to, downregulate the stress, anxiety with the minimal amount of negative side effects. All right. So if you're finding that you're getting value out of this series, I invite you to go to my website, judyterrell.com, where I have other series there with other topics that you might also find equally enriching, along with many other things that are on my website that you might find that you would want to add to your toolbox for, living an optimal body and mind when you're over 50. That's why I started to put these series together, is because I want to make my second 50 years on the planet even better than my first 50. I'm already 10 years into my second 50 because I'm going to be 60 in a few months. And so I'm on a mission, and I welcome you to come and join that mission with me for your own self. So as always, thank you for watching and listening, everybody. And I hope to see you in another series. And in the meantime, be well. Thanks for listening, everybody. And if you'd like to have access to some of my additional resources, I can be found at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website, www.judyterrell.com.